You see percent sign everywhere. In the market, malls, magazines, newspapers, and on your cell phones or tablets. So, it is important that you know and understand the meaning of percent as well as the relationship of percent, fraction, ratio, and decimals. At the end of this module, you are expected to visualize percent and its relationship to fractions, ratio, and decimal numbers using models. What I know. Directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer on a sheet of paper. 1. How many is 50% of a class? A. 1/3, B. 1/2, C. 3/4, D. 5/6. 2. What terms means per hundred? A. Base, B. Percent, C. Percentage, D. Rate. Number 3. Change 3/4 to percent. A. 20%, B. 25%, C. 75%, D. 100%. Number 4. Which does not belong? A. 25%, B. 25 hundreds, C. 25:100, D. 25. Number 5. 76% of the grade 5 pupils are girls. Express 76% as decimal. A. 76,000, B. 7,600, C. 7 6/10, D. 76. Number 6. Which element of percent represents the whole? A. Base, B. Percent, C. Percentage, D. Rate. In the statement 35% of 600 equals 210, the base is A. 35%, B. 210, C. 600, D. None. Number 8. Which element of percent has percent sign? A. Base, B. Percent, C. Percentage, D. Rate. Number 9. In a 50-item test in elementary mathematics, Mikey got 35 items correct. What percent of the items did she miss? What is the missing element? A. Base, B. Percent, C. Percentage, D. Rate. Number 10. What is the missing element in the problem? Chris collected 10 cans of food. If he is 50% complete with his final goal, how many cans does he want to collect? A. Base, B. Percent, C. Percentage, D. Rate. This is lesson 1, relationship of percent, fractions, ratios, and decimals. It was in the 15th century when the idea of percent began. It came from the Latin word percentum, which means for every 100. A percent is a ratio of a number to 100. It is represented by the symbol percent sign. Directions. Complete the table by writing the number word in fraction and decimal forms. Write your answer under the proper column. Do it on a sheet of paper. Number word, fraction, and in decimal. Number 1. 82 hundreds. In fraction, in decimal. Number 2. 75 hundredths in fraction form and in decimal form. For number 3, 2 hundredths in fraction form and in decimal form. Number 4, 15 hundredths in fraction form and in decimal form. Number 5, 9 hundredths in fraction form and in decimal form. Read and understand the problem. Luis and Ernie earned 100 pesos for selling junk. They gave 73 pesos to their mother and spent 27 pesos to buy candies. What percent of their earnings did they give their mother? What percent did they spend? Kaya niyo bang sagutan ang mga problems? How did Luis and Ernie earn money? How much did they earn? How did they spend their earnings? In the figure below represents Luis and Ernie's earnings and savings. The 100 boxes show the total earnings while the 73 shaded boxes represents the amount given to their mother. 73 out of 100 can be written as in percent, in ratio, in fraction, and in decimal. Compare the shaded part in its grid. In percent, that is 35%. In ratio, 35 is to 100. In decimal, 35 hundredths. In fraction form, 35 hundredths. Changing percent to fraction. Percent may be written in fraction form. To change percent to a fraction, remove the percent symbol and write the number as numerator, then 100 as denominator. This is from the definition that percent means for every 100. Change the fraction to lowest term if possible. Examples: 42% in fraction form, that is 42 hundredths. And the lowest term is 21 over 50. 9%, 9 hundredths in fraction, and the lowest term is 9 hundredths also. 25%, 25 hundredths. And lowest term, that is 1/4. 16%, 16 hundredths in fraction form, and the lowest term is 4 over 25. Changing percent to decimal. Percent may also be written as a decimal number. To change percent to decimal, write the percent as a fraction, then divide the numerator by the denominator. Examples: 15%, write in fraction, that is 15 hundredths. In decimal, 0.15 or 15 hundredths. Pero paano ba naging 15 hundredths? So, yung numerator na 15 at denominator na 100. 15 divided by 100 cannot be. Lagyan ng decimal point, then 2 zeros. Then, taas ang decimal point. Now, let us divide like whole number. So, 15 divided by 100, 0. 0 times 100, equals 0. 15 minus 0 equals 15. Bring down 0. 150 divided by 100, that is 1. 1 times 100, 100. 150 minus 100 equals 50. Bring down 0. So 500 divided by 100 equals 5. 5 times 100 equals 500. 500 minus 500 equals 0. So the answer is 1500. While 9% in fraction, 900s. In decimal, 900s. Lagyan ng 0 after decimal point, 0 as placeholder. Then 13% in fraction, 1300s. In decimal, 1300s or 0.13. Another way of changing percent to decimal, change percent to decimal point, then move it twice to the left. Example, 15%, remove percent sign, make it decimal point, then move twice to the left. So the answer is 1500s or 0.15. Number 2, 9%. Remove percent sign, make it decimal point, then move twice to the left, and that is 0.09. Number 3, 6800s. Change percent sign to decimal point and move twice to the left, and that is 6800s. Changing percent to ratio. Percent is a ratio with 100 as the second term. So, to change percent to ratio, remove the percent sign and write 100 as the second term. Example, 27%, remove percent sign, then 27 is to 100. Number 2, 5%, and that is 5 is to 100. Number 3, 87%, in ratio, 87 is to 100. Number 4, 1%, in ratio, that is 1 is to 100. For activity 1, write the name for each shaded part as a fraction, as a decimal, as a percent, and as a ratio. Write your answer on a sheet of paper. Example, if you will count the shaded part, that is 48 hundredths, and the lowest term for that is 12 over 25. In decimal, 48 hundredths. As a percent, 48%. And as a ratio, 48 is to 100. For number 1, if you will count the shaded part, 36 hundredths. And the lowest term for that is 9 over 25. As a decimal, 36 hundredths. As percent, 36%. And as a ratio, 36 is to 100. For number 2, if you will count the shaded parts, 56 hundredths. And the lowest term for that is 14 over 25. For decimal, 56 hundredths. In percent, 56%. And as a ratio, 56 is to 100. I'll give you 3 minutes to answer number 3, number 4, and number 5. For activity 2, write the ratio, decimal, and percent equivalent of each picture. Write your answer on a sheet of paper. For number 1, triangles, there are 12 triangles. That's why in ratio, that is 25 is to 100. In decimal, that is 25 hundredths. In percent, 25%. Number 2, pag binilang natin, there are 12. So, in ratio, 12 is to 100. In decimal, 12 hundredths. And 12% in percent form. So, I'll give you 3 minutes for number 3, 4, and 5. For activity 3, complete the table. Reduce the fraction to lowest term if possible. Write your answer on a sheet of paper. For number 1, 37%. In ratio, 37 is to 100. In fraction form, 37 hundredths. In decimal, 37 hundredths. For number 2, in percent form, that is 17%. In fraction, 17 hundredths. In decimal, 17 hundredths. So, I'll give you 3 minutes to answer number 3, 4, and 5. Fill in the missing words to complete the meaning. Choose your answer from the choices given inside the box. Copy the answer on a sheet of paper. The choices are decimal point, hundred, lowest, numerator, and percent. So let us answer number 1. Percent means per 100. Percent can be written as a ratio with 100 as the second term or a fraction with 100 as the denominator. It can also be written as decimal number. To change percent to fraction, remove the percent sign and write the numerator as the numerator. Then write 100 as denominator. Then I'll give you 3 minutes to answer number 3, 4, and 5. So let's continue. Change the fraction to blank term. In writing percent to decimal, remove the percent sign, then move the blank twice to the left. In changing decimal to blank, we move the decimal point twice to the right and affix the percent sign. So 3 minutes for that. Time starts now. Read the problem carefully. Answer its item. Write your answer on a sheet of paper. Number 1. What fraction of the cell phone's battery is used if the screen says that the remaining battery is 29%? So that is 29 hundredths in fraction. For number 2, Carlo scored 65 out of 100 item test in math. What percent of the test did he get correctly? So, 65 out of 100 in percent, that is 65%. So, I'll give you another 3 minutes to answer number 3, 4, and 5. And time starts now. Maraming salamat muli sa inyong panonood. Thank you sa inyong mga likes, sa mga comments, at sa mga share. Hanggang sa muli, paalam!